Maso's Eva. It's brilliant, which is one reason. It was recommended to me this summer, and it became sort of a constant companion. It's written by Carole Maso, right? Published in the early 90s. It tells the story of Ava, who's dying of a rare blood disorder in New York, and it's her last day before she dies. And it's broken up into morning, afternoon, and evening. And it's just the thoughts, she's a little delirious, that are flooding through her mind as she lays dying. So it's travels, husbands, books she's read, conversations she's had, and it's all written in these one, sometimes two-line fragments that are double-spaced. So there's a lot of weight given to these little fragments, and no real narrative structure other than that, no chronological order that you can follow. But it starts to have this accumulating effect that you have some familiarity with these characters as they reappear. And it became really important to me because I'm writing a project that's based on the death of my great-uncle in World War II, and then ends up including the deaths of 4 other family members. So I'm trying to juggle a lot of narratives and a lot of jumping between decades and finding a way to do that in a poetic project. And it's such a beautiful example of that being done really well. So in part, it just inspired and influenced the project, and then sometimes it became so connected it just says, Ava says, because it felt easy to do that. So I'm going to read a few pages. This is from Afternoons, it's about 3/4 of the way into the book. It doesn't need a lot of context other than this. It's part of the delirium that is the entire book. So just read a couple of pages that I enjoyed. Some days I am so tired I forget about you. In the same courtyard, arsenals, and ashes, ashes. She was famished, she was ravenous. But in her lilting Italian accent, she said, I'm ravishing, and she was. How could I? Why did I hesitate, given all that we knew even then? This belated grasping of the situation in the finale, let me know if you're going to Central Park. The nurse sings from her station, let me know. Let me know if you're going, she sings, turning to take the thermometer from my mouth. What is it, Ava? Danilo asks. I'm just saying words out loud. If not angels, then what are these winged last hopes, last things? Eleanor and Amelia in the air. Eleanor Roosevelt and Amelia Earhart take a night flight together, forbidden by the president. On impulse, after a formal dinner party, Eleanor takes the controls for a few moments, having always wanted to be. Women have not made discoveries because they have been kept from the scene. Absolutely. We were working on an erotic song cycle. It was called Towards a Female Subject. Through the clearing in these exciting and dangerous woods, where I hear you singing. A Yiddish song, a sonata written long ago by Mademoiselle Duval. We do not know her first name or the year she was born, but it is beautiful. We were working on an erotic song cycle. It was called Going to See the Glass Flowers. It was called An Afternoon at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. They have been kept from making discoveries. It was called Eleanor and Amelia in the Air, and there's Bata Bachevsky, 82, who plunged to his death from the top balcony during a performance of Macbeth, flying into Verdi's perfection. The irresistible music of the end, Libera me, turn it up, you're exactly as I remember you, fly. How is this for an ending, this dangerous clearing? This is not to say I have not had much good luck. We met at the Institute of Puccini Studies in Parma. You have the most beautiful tenor voice, my friend. Voices in the ground. And the way you held your hand over your diaphragm, and the way you always covered your throat, Aldo. They'll say moon face, they'll say bald eagle. But I'm tired now of the treatments. It was called Landscape with 2 Graves. This is probably the last love letter I will ever write. I remember when we would all go to the park, Father would do his Charlie Chaplin walk. Tell me if it's too far for you. How did we live then? Do you remember? Did we thank God for bread and fish? Did we sing Yiddish songs? Yes, there would be time enough to say goodbye. In the Joie de Vivre room where we lived, listened to nightingales, walked on enchanted land, always one more thing to say. And then I'll read a little bit from the project that Ava influenced. I sort of pulled from a lot of parts of this project that felt the most Ava-inspired, although she's all over everything now. We've got a chain of Ava enthusiasts, my friend. July 18th. I'm going to die until I put my head underwater. Still, the death of another can fail. I am 2 points along the trajectory of an arrow, so I am necessarily nowhere, and thus I am dead. A cold fear like being too far from the ocean. Walk straight up a mountain that does not peak. I think it means put your head underwater so you can breathe. I think this means it is my first mistake. July 9th. I sink through the white comforter to the stone floor and again through the levels of home and think maybe I am wrong. I am not supposed to know this. Ava says today you could step off the edge of the world and float. I lost him. That can't be right. I can't find him. The whale is quiet. I travel towards the winter line and the whole of it comes up to meet me. July 10th. I am not stable in the face of stone temples. The feet are wet for too long. A carnival is setting up in town. Remember spending New Year's Eve in Rome? I can't find you. I will hang the mother on my wall. I look everywhere you have never been. The weather is warm and I am a tyrant before it. I spit on my dress to be reborn, to be drawn in simple outlines that accent the tiredness around my eyes and my lack of balance in the mornings. And all the while imagine there is time. July 7th. Ellie, even at a distance, against the ocean of it. Today the whale is quiet. Ellie says, you know what I think. Ava says we live once and rather badly. What was buried? Not only can it happen like that, that is in fact how it happens. The easing out, maneuver around corrosion, a complex of truth-telling, or the way we sit with our heads together in order to see the table between us and ask how we can get close enough to empty it. There is nothing but slow, a tempo currency, stalemated by the tide that only comes in. This is the space of it. This is in fact how it happens. A path is widened and engraved. When what is taken away is a way to know, we count out the steps as they turn into coal or butter, depending on the light or as handwriting. It gets covered in dust as it comes home and is no longer challenged to exist in the way one would like. I came here when there was evening to spare. I began digging as though the whole beast of it is swimming somewhere. Because to hold it open like the eyes and speak into it is more dirty glass, more leaping and asking, this is the field I came to ask for when there was evening to spare. We stand at less than attention, holding against a timing that refuses to bank. The wax melts. We begin to see there was never a path here. Next to a purple heart, we take a pardon of balance. Impossible weather for July. M is dying. His spine begins to show through. The feet are wet for too long. Scans of his brain show a large gray mass of rain cloud over the delicate, they say progressing and hallucinations. The pool has been taken away drop by a large bird. There are bones in the sugar, you understand. There are bones. I say, trust me, there are no snakes on the walls. Storm clouds gather over the delicate. July 17th. The relics are stolen. The rain continues. The first 1,000 cases of trench rot. Fritz would rather be full of wine than water. Hadn't been seen since the last war. The feet are wet for too long. S drowns in the mud in the summer. These are the hillsides I came to ask for. A natural pest. St. Roche may not have existed. He may be a combination of two men. He is said to have been saved by a dog. The plague was here. His bones are on display at the cathedral. I can see them, the relics of which man? The water is cold and we cannot possibly. A moving arrow is necessarily nowhere. In death we move between points and so are necessarily nowhere. There are bones in the sugar and I am nearing the winter line. July 18th. I float in the water and all the small creatures who find themselves drowning find my floating body as the only island on the horizon. They all come and soon the weight of the beast becomes too much and we sink together in the midst of a vast perspective. The body of Thomas Aquinas was removed from the ground. His head was separated and boiled. The bones are in a church in Toulouse, the right thumb in Milan, and the head in Rome. What body is this that finds so much trouble? Come hold on to it in the center. These bones are in the sugar. We built it in order to believe it is true. St. Roche is saved by a dog. The pool has dried and become powerless. Tell me the whole of it will come up to meet me. I am not beautiful, but today I do not want that I am an olive tree. Because the sun is setting, because the hillsides are brought to my door, because I have nowhere left to put you, the care package is returned unopened, a miraculous sky. From here it would be granted if only we could reach it, and then I cannot is not a failure, but a balance so thorough that we could not survive the idea. We resolve at a point of departure because if we were able to travel, we would cease to exist. July 19th. I sit with the body, the bones of Thomas Aquinas minus his head and right thumb, boiled. I tell Johann this is a good place and do not believe it. The relics play no music. I travel to the winter line to find a relic that cannot speak, to find a place to keep it. Quiet exceptions. These are not my bones. I begin to take them apart at the seams. There are no snakes, there are rain clouds in your brain. There are bones in the sugar. I am a tyrant against the edges tightly. July 25th. I make a list of things to come back for. The winter line is a short drive from Rome, punishment, open ocean. The train is delayed, the bridges collapse. The snakes are real, replacements, that was what he was. The rain clouds one can see. To move a hillside handful by handful into our stomachs so that we can translate our void as architecture, we drink the ash of S to remember how we used to walk and speak. I was going to tell you. S, you die in the dark, unless the headlights glow in that way that accents the darkness. TA, you die in the false light of a home on fire. M, you die in the neon erasing light of a hospital. F, you die among the great sounds that form space, the way we say the word mountain and mean mountain. The water reaches the top of the pool, the water fills the room and floats the piano, the water moving against time drowns the tile, the water at our knees, climbing swiftly to the balcony, the water at our throats, a weeping toward. The bookcase and stairs are swimming, the water in our mouths. I came to ask for evening, I yell above the surface. I don't want it now. You can drown it. S would have jumped from the balcony and found a tide. GH says, hold my hand. Ava says, the fire called July. Thank you.